Thank you, Grace. Hey, so good to be with you all. And yeah, thank you for leading out Corey and Grace with that song. It's just, yeah, that's beautiful, isn't it? I don't know how your day's been. Mine's been one that started pretty early and it's been a bit of go, go, go. And it's just, yeah, lovely to, yeah, just really refreshing in God's spirit to really just sit and kind of absorb God's love with that song and remind ourselves of the truth of who He is and what that means for us. So thank you so much. That really touched me. Yeah, so my name's Ben Mai, and I work for this movement called Auckland Church Network, which we started about 3 or 4 years ago here in Auckland. Um, I'm not an Aucklander. I'm very impressed that people from outside of Auckland have joined in to pray for Auckland. So go you guys, that's awesome. And there's a few Aucklanders in the mix as well, which is awesome. So I grew up in Lower Hutt. That's where all my kind of family of origin are down in the Wellington region. Up here in Auckland, I've lived here for about 11 years now. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Amy, and we've got two young children. Two came out at once after a long wait for us. So we've got twins, boy and girl twins. Their names are Isaiah and Ella, and they're 3 years old and live here in the suburb of Mangere Bridge. And we worship at our local church, Mangere Bridge Baptist. So it's kind of walk to church for us, which we love. We love living kind of locally here. But obviously my role is kind of a citywide role in terms of its scope. So yeah, I just got three verses that I wanted to share. So I'll kind of share them, well, kind of in a go and kind of talk briefly. I mean, look, the first one is to be honest, I read this verse a few days ago. You'll know it well, and in some ways, I'm reading it because I'm actually inspired by you guys who would log in here Monday night after Monday night after Monday night to pray faithfully for the New Zealand Church, capital C, for all sorts of ministries and so on across our nation. And you guys take this as an encouragement because I think this is you already. It's from Colossians 3. Since then you have been raised with Christ. Set your hearts on things above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Set your mind on things above, not on earthly things. For you died, and your life is now hidden with Christ in God. And when Christ, who is your life, appears, then you also will appear with him in glory. So just want to really encourage you because I think, yeah, to be honest, I'm more saying it because I'm inspired by you guys. Because you are living your life these ways. You're setting your hearts on things above. You're setting your mind on things above. And yeah, I just want to honor that. And I know God honors that and wants to bless that. And I just want to say good on you and thank you so much for for logging in tonight and for praying. Thanks heaps. When I think of Auckland, I'm just going to go on to share these two other verses and then can maybe just chat a little bit more. A couple of verses on my heart. Again, I'd imagine you know these ones well. I want to read just a verse from Isaiah 58. The chapter is entitled True Fasting. This is from the NIV, and I'm going to just come down to verse 12. And it says, and it says this. And I used to say, when I think about my city of Auckland, maybe when you think about your city, and I think about the role that the church has or that the church can play in its city, man, this is my heart for the church. And I'm talking the capital C church working together for its city. And it says, your people will rebuild the ancient ruins and will raise up the age-old foundations. You will be called repairer of broken walls, restorer of streets with dwellings. I think this is God's heart for us. It's God's heart for our cities. It's certainly my heart for my city of Auckland, where I live in a city that has a lot of beauty in it, incredible beaches, lovely coastlines, some nice warm weather on days like today, which is lovely. Yeah, a lot of beauty, a lot of natural God-given beauty, a lot of beauty that's been created by man under God's hand. But man, there's also a lot of brokenness here as well, which we can lean into a little bit. And I think God really wants us and wants his church to really lean into that brokenness and to really kind of live out and fulfill this promise that we will be called repairer of broken walls, restorer of streets with dwellings. That's our heart. And so, yeah, that's something to kind of pray into as well, that the church in Auckland can kind of fill out that promise that God has for us, or that expectation that He has in us, really. And the other verse that I just want to share comes from this incredible prayer that Jesus prayed the night before He was crucified. So we're going into John's Gospel, and particularly want to come down to verse 23 and just read here. So obviously, of all of the things that He could choose to pray for, what's recorded here in John's Gospel is that He prays for all believers, and He really prays for unity, for complete unity. And so I'm just going to read verse 23. It sort of, yeah, starts at verse 20, but I'll try and come in at verse 23. It says, I in them and you in me, so that they may be brought to complete unity. And if they're brought to complete unity, then the world will know that you sent me and have loved them even as you have loved me. So this is Jesus' heart for us as believers. This is His heart for us as the church. This is His heart for the Church of Auckland, that we might be in complete unity. And you know, to me, that's a very, in some ways, quite an intimate word. We think of the perfect example of unity: God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. We think of God's design and desire for our marriages, that they be, you know, the sense of oneness. And so this is indeed God's heart for all believers. This is God's heart for the church as well, that the church be in complete unity. And then it comes with this brilliant, prayer, I guess, of Jesus. Then so that once we're brought to complete unity, then the world will know that you sent me. The world will know that you sent me. So it's essentially saying, as I read it, that our unity will be a witness to non-believers in our cities and across our nation. And so, man, that is absolutely my heart for Auckland, that the church be in complete unity, and that unity will be a witness to non-believers. So, yeah, just wanted to, the first verse was really a personal encouragement for you guys from Colossians 3. And they just certainly want to lean into Isaiah 58, verse 12 in particular, and then John 17, verse 23 as well. So just coming back a little bit to talk about Auckland, and you've got the city, as I say, it's really this juxtaposition of beauty and brokenness. There's things I love about Auckland, as I've been touching on there. But man, there's things that really grieve my heart for our city as well. And maybe just to touch a little bit more into this space, I think. We sense that God is at work across the globe, really, calling the church to step into places of struggle with hope and healing. And we read that verse from John 17:23. Jesus prayed His people would be brought to complete unity, so that the world may know His love. And so this is, imagine is if the church were completely unified, completely united, and committed to collective action. This would be an incredible way for the church to be that repairer of broken walls, that restorer of streets with dwellings. And so Auckland is a city of stunning beauty and potential. We're diverse, we're youthful, creative, intelligent, generous. But our greatest resource, our people, are also hurting. Many struggle with the cost of living, with food insecurity, with unemployment, with inequality. Families are under strain. Young people face unprecedented pressures, and too many experience loneliness and despair. Let me just give you one-line stats on 5 pressing issues from our city. Homelessness. Auckland's known homeless population surged. This is kind of acute homelessness, from 426 people in September last year to 809 in May this year. That's a rise of 90% in 8 months. Women are around now 46% of those homeless people, which has grown significantly. Food insecurity. Here's a stat. It's from the New Zealand Health Survey that I just find astoundingly, I just find it scarcely believable, really, but it's from a New Zealand national survey. Uh, in the last survey, 1 in 3 children live in households where food runs out often or sometimes. 1 in 3. That's a significant increase from 1 in 6 2 years prior. So huge issues around food insecurity. Um, in family violence, police report more than 50,000 family violence occurrences in Auckland each year. That's one every 12 minutes, averaged across the year. Youth well-being. 1 in 5 people from the age of 15 to 24 in Auckland experience high or very high psychological distress. And finally, social isolation. Around 40% of Aucklanders experience some level of loneliness. And in actual fact, this is actually most prevalent in the 18 to 39-year age group, which to me is quite a surprising stat. I perhaps would have thought maybe older people who are living by themselves or even younger teenagers, maybe something like that. But yeah, it's most prevalent in the 18 to 39 year, kind of the first half of adulthood. So those stats are challenging. And there's a lot of, I guess, a lot of potential for the church to kind of lean in and come around some of these issues in our city. I also think, though, that there are signs of hope and life emerging. I mean, just leaning into this unity space, I happened to catch up today with a guy named Luke Weston. He's now the CEO of Arena Broadcasting Group. He's a great guy. I have a lot of respect for. And I kind of said to him, where do you think the church is at and so on? And one of the first things he said, he's sensing a greater sense of unity across the church. And I'm like, yeah, come on, that's really, really encouraging to kind of put aside our differences and kind of get on and think ultimately we're on the same team. We're on Team Jesus. So let's get stuck in and go for it together. And I really love that. And I love that he said that and is picking that up. I mean, there's encouraging stories. A couple of weeks ago, I was at combined prayer night on the North Shore of Auckland. So people from kind of 12 different churches gathered for a night of prayer, worship, and praying strategically and missionally for, in this case, the North Shore. And I was just chatting just afterwards with a young woman aged 16, and she goes to Rangitoto College there on the North Shore. And she leads what's called the Jesus Club on the North Shore. You've probably have had Catalyst Movement on, who I think are a wonderful organization, and they've started these things called Jesus Clubs in high schools across New Zealand. And she was telling me like they ran Youth Alpha in their Monday lunchtime at Rangitoto College with 50 students turning up to come to Youth Alpha. And I'm like, man, that is awesome, And she's just telling me about the sense of openness that exists in her high school and in different high schools across Auckland as well. So these are encouraging. I think of some of the stories of baptisms. I mean, here's a crazy volume story of baptisms, which blows me away. I go to kind of a medium-sized church, but Life, some of you will know Life, probably the largest church in Auckland. On Easter Sunday, they baptized 135 people in one service, which is just obviously awesome. And in a church of that size and scale can kind of do those sort of things. But there's other brilliant examples as well, smaller scales examples of, people walking in off the street, finding Jesus, through church services, through Alpha, coming into church through English second language classes, platforming onto, so it's a real sense of hope. And I think, obviously one thing where Auckland is a little unique from some of the rest of the country is in the percentage of people who are born overseas. So it's around about 43% of people who live in Auckland are born overseas. So highly multicultural. And I think it's wonderful to see some of the migrant churches planting new churches, growing in their faith, releasing leaders to go and kind of lead into all God's called them to. And I think some of this kind of growth that's coming through in some of these aspects is awesome as well. Let me very briefly add 2 prayer points because we're coming into land here. So I'll finish with the Auckland Prayer Breakfast, but something else, a project that we're currently doing in Auckland Church Network. Our heart in Auckland Church Network is for our city to flourish spiritually and socially, for shalom to come to every corner of our city. And so we work in partnership with the Capital C Church and with others to love and build the city. Love you to pray, because for the first time in about 15 or 20 years, we're coordinating a nativity float in this year's Auckland Santa Parade. And so this is obviously down Queen Street. You've got kind of over 100,000 people coming into the CBD for the Auckland Santa Parade afternoon. For 15 years, there's never been anything Jesus in the Auckland Santa Parade. And so we're bringing the Christ back into Christmas to show our city the true gift of Christmas on November 30 this year. Would love your prayer into that as we kind of coordinate that with several different churches kind of participating in that. And then finally, let me just finish with the Auckland Prayer Breakfast, which is going to be brilliant. It's the 10th Auckland Prayer Breakfast. Sanjay Kandragula is on tonight, the pastor of our city church, and really just want to honor Sanjay, who is one of the co-founders of the Auckland Prayer Breakfast. First started in 2016. Sanjay's a real legend and a champion for unity across Auckland and wider. And so this year's one will be the 10th one. And look, I think this is just one example where it's just brilliant to see this greater heart for unity and for prayer and for coming together. So the Auckland Prayer Breakfast actually sold out about 3 weeks ago. And so we've got about 650 people coming together, leaders, church leaders, not-for-profit leaders, some business leaders, some educators coming together at Eden Park to really pray for our city and to get inspired about what God can do in this next season as well. And so we'd love your prayers for that as well. Let me just read out to finish off the prayer points that I sent round. Three things here, but you can pray into anything that I've mentioned. So firstly, for growth in Christian unity across Auckland, highlighting what we agree on rather than what we disagree on. Strengthening of existing collaborations and creation of new ones, and for real, generous love for one another, that Aucklanders may know God's love. That's that kind of John 17:23 aspect. So growth in unity across Auckland, Christian unity. Secondly, growth in kingdom multiplication, for more Aucklanders to discover God's love, forgiveness, and eternal hope. For churches being planted or revitalized across Auckland to multiply disciples of the kingdom, and for new and fruitful ministries to reach Aucklanders of all ages, stages, and situations. And thirdly is for growth in the health of Auckland communities. So for organizations, ministries, and churches serving Aucklanders who are struggling economically. For those whose reality includes rough sleeping or mental health or addiction, some of these issues I was getting at, some of those really sobering stats, and for an increased sense of belonging through the suburbs and streets of Auckland.